everyone, and thank you for watching the California Department of Education's Technical Assistance webinar for the Comprehensive Statewide Literacy Needs Assessment. Today, we are going to do some introductions, talk about the Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant, give an overview of the CLSD grant, talk about the Literacy Needs Assessment development, give an overview of the needs assessment, as well as talk about some best practices. Our outcomes for today are that you will learn about the CLSD grant, the literacy needs assessment and its development, the needs assessment process, and some important next steps. My name is Erica St. Andre. I'm an education programs consultant in the Professional Learning Innovations Office in the Professional Learning Support Division at the California Department of Education. And joining me today is my colleague, Jennifer Howarder, who is also an EPC in the PLEO office in the PLSD at CDE. The Comprehensive Statewide Literacy Needs Assessment is a component of the Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant, or CLSD. First, we'll take a moment to learn about this upcoming grant opportunity so that we can understand how the Literacy Needs Assessment will support it. The CLSD grant is an opportunity for states to apply for federal funding to support literacy instruction birth through grade 12. It will improve student achievement in reading and writing by providing federal funds to states to develop, revise, or update comprehensive literacy plans, and will allow states to provide targeted subgrants to local educational agencies to implement evidence-based programs that ensure high-quality literacy instruction. Additionally, there are two federal priorities for this grant: to advance literacy skills through the use of evidence-based practices, activities, and interventions, including pre-literacy skills, reading and writing, for children from birth through grade 12, with an emphasis on disadvantaged children, including children living in poverty, English learners, and children with disabilities. Further, the grant has four main priorities: coordination with institutions of higher education, or IHEs, addressing the impact of COVID-19 on students, educators, and faculty, promoting equity in student access to educational resources and opportunities, and supporting a diverse educator workforce and professional growth to strengthen student learning. This map of the United States shows all CLSD grantee states, all of which are working toward a common goal. California is a 2019 grantee of CLSD grant funds. We have been meeting with our CLSD partner states in meetings facilitated by the Federal Department of Education, or ED, throughout this grant work. The map on this slide shows the geographic and regional range of CLSD 2019 grantees throughout California. Each of the different colors indicate a different literacy lead agency. You'll notice that there's a mixture of urban, suburban, and rural counties represented, and that they span the entirety of the state of California. In all, 20 county offices of education teamed together into 7 consortia and partnered with over 80 schools on 4-year small-scale pilot projects. Our goal with this 2024 grant funding is to significantly expand and enhance the reach of the 2019 grant funds across California. We wrote the grant proposal in May and June 2024 and submitted it on June 21st, 2024. In that proposal, we had 3 main objectives. The first objective is to leverage state capacity and partnerships, including coordination with IHEs and subgrantees, to ensure pre-service teachers and in-service teachers have sufficient and consistent knowledge and skills to enact evidence-based literacy instruction, intervention, and assessment. In the grant proposal, we indicated our plans to continue our partnership with IHEs to ensure that the training prospective and current teachers receive related to literacy instruction is evidence-based and grounded in science. We have identified this as a hole in our teacher training and development pipeline, where districts are having to train their teachers, even those recently graduated from credentialing programs. The new Literacy Teacher Performance Expectation 7 is helping to address this as well. The second objective is to revise California's Comprehensive State Literacy Plan, or SLP, to include the literacy roadmap and updated evidence-based practices and guidance documents, as well as promising practices and implementation guides from the 2019 CLSD subgrantees. To do this, we are disseminating a statewide literacy needs assessment in December 2024, which will help inform revisions and updates to this plan. We are also reconvening a state literacy team comprised of experts from across the state who will help update and revise the state literacy plan. An important addition will be the successes and lessons learned from the 2019 CLSD grant work, including the implementation guide each of our grantees developed. If you are interested in reviewing the implementation guides, they can be found in the online literacy resources repository on the California Educators Together platform at https://www.caeducatorstogether.org. The third objective is to continue to build local capacity to establish, align, and implement literacy initiatives that emphasize family and community involvement and expand educational options, ensuring equity in student access and addressing the needs of California's most vulnerable children, particularly related to the impacts of COVID-19 on students and educators. The vast majority of the funding will be subgranted to consortia of county offices across California. Each region will be represented by a county office or a consortium of county offices. These county offices will support districts within their region to develop local literacy plans based on the state literacy plan, with a focus on all aspects of Objective 3. Here are a few quick points about how this grant could potentially affect your school in a positive way. County Offices of Education, or COEs, will have the opportunity to apply as consortia for grant funds to partner with local educational agencies, or LEAs, on statewide literacy priorities in the summer of 2025. They will be seeking partner districts and schools to engage in the work for a period of at least 4 years. The estimated time of the grant work will be from October 2025 through September of 2029. Districts and schools who partnered with COEs in the 2019 grant reported overwhelmingly that their knowledge and instructional practices improved significantly. We encourage you to be in touch with your local COE about this funding opportunity. I will now turn it over to Jennifer Howarder.
Now that we have a good foundation of the grant that is supporting this needs assessment, let's turn to the needs assessment itself to understand what it is and how best to complete it. So, what is the Literacy Needs Assessment? The Literacy Needs Assessment is an opportunity for LEAs and the California Department of Education, or the CDE, to learn about the strengths and areas of development related to literacy outcomes. The needs assessment has several purposes. First, the CDE will use the results of the survey to determine current statewide literacy needs and inform updates and revisions to the SLP, which was adopted by the State Board of Education in March of 2021. The needs assessment will provide valuable information to the CDE regarding areas of strength, opportunity gaps, and needs for ongoing technical assistance and other supports necessary to assist LEAs in developing local literacy plans. And finally, the Literacy Needs Assessment will provide LEAs with an opportunity to engage in a structured inquiry designed to self-assess their one, current level of capacity to support a comprehensive literacy program, and two, their current implementation of a comprehensive literacy program designed to support all learners. The Literacy Needs Assessment is designed for schools, but can also be completed by LEAs and county offices of education. The Literacy Needs Assessment should be completed with full input and support from all interested parties, both within the school and in the community. Note that elementary or high school only districts, single school districts, charters, etc., may complete the survey from a perspective relevant to their own context and disregard questions that do not apply. The audience should be made up of teachers, administrators, specialists, community members, parents, students, etc. It should reflect the input of all stakeholders who have an impact on literacy within an LEA. It's important to complete the literacy needs assessments. The literacy needs assessment will help inform the updated state literacy plan, which will serve as a resource for LEAs. The state literacy plan will help inform local literacy plans. And the literacy needs assessment and state literacy plan are both foundational pieces of the CLSD grant, which will be used to support the development and implementation of local literacy plans. As mentioned previously, there is the potential for your school and district to partner with your COE in receiving grant funds to engage in this work. Now we will look at what is asked in the needs assessment itself. When you first open the link to the needs assessment, you will see a page of instructions followed by a series of questions intended to gather general information about ELA and literacy at your sites. This includes school and respondent contact information, what is going well in terms of literacy at your sites, including your literacy plan, information on your literacy coach, reading specialists, or other support, English language arts, English language development curriculum, the core or intervention programs, assessment systems, other literacy grants that you have, professional learning you have in place, that sort of stuff. After the opening questions, the rest of the literacy needs assessment is structured as a rubric. You and your team will assign a current level at which your site is operating, choosing from not yet emerging, establishing consensus, developing, building infrastructure, and operationalizing, gaining consistency, or optimizing, innovating, and sustaining. These ratings are not evaluative, but rather a measure of your current reality. Beneath each box to indicate your rating, there is an optional space for you to explain your rating. This needs assessment uses a developmental rubric to allow schools to identify at what stage or to what extent their system of supports results in an optimal literacy outcome for all students, emerging, developing, operationalizing, and optimizing. The rubric levels offer an example of a practice at that level so that districts can try to identify where they are and where they would like to be. Note again that the purpose is not to evaluate the performance of participating schools, administrators, teachers, staff, or students. Rather, it is a tool for schools to use to determine areas of strength and development related to literacy outcomes. Given this framework, each level of development includes and builds upon the previous ones. For example, the optimizing level includes not only its own descriptors, but also those from the emerging, developing, and operationalizing levels as well. Key topic A focuses on engaged leadership and supporting teachers to improve instruction. The LEA and school leaders collaborate to implement high-quality literacy programs, which include analyzing formative, interim, and summative assessment data, utilizing evidence-based instructional practices, building literacy-focused teams, and promoting teacher learning and leadership. This key topic has 4 questions and then an optional space to add any other relevant details on the topic. Key topic B focuses on assessment practices and intervention supports. Assessment policies, procedures, and practices are developed, implemented, and documented, and literacy interventions are provided as needed. This key topic also has 4 questions and then again an optional space to add any other relevant details on the topic. Key topic C focuses on policy, structure, and cultural alignments. Policies, procedures, and implementation of California guidance documents related to standards-based literacy instruction and culturally relevant pedagogy are in place in all transitional kindergarten to grade 12 classrooms. This key topic also has 4 questions and then again an optional space to add any other relevant details on the topic. And finally, key topic D focuses on family, community, and partner supports. Schools exist within the context of the community and work with parents, families, community members, and outside organizations to create the structures necessary for effective literacy instruction and learning. This key topic also has 4 questions, and then once again, an optional space to add any other relevant details on the topic. And now I will hand it back over to Erica.
Next, we have a few pointers for you in terms of how to proceed with the needs assessment and complete it. Preparing to take the needs assessment requires some forethought and planning. There are 5 stages in taking a needs assessment: planning, collecting and organizing data, interpreting information, determining priorities, and connecting to implementation. So the first 3 steps would be in completing the needs assessment, and then the last 2 are more relevant to after the needs assessment is completed. When planning for the literacy needs assessment, schools should allow for sufficient time for their teams to complete the survey in its entirety, providing time for review of research and engagement in discussions to sufficiently address each question and topic. LEAs need to consider what is the framework of the needs assessment, the core themes or topics the needs assessment will cover, what do we need to know or understand about each of these topics, and who are the key people that need to be engaged. LEAs need to establish actions, timelines, and levels of responsibility, select and use readily available and relevant data sources, identify all interested parties, and plan for their involvement, including inviting them to participate, beginning with the planning process. To prepare for taking this literacy needs assessment, it's important to get the right people in the room. Teams may consist of county and district leaders, school administrators, instructional staff, students, and families. It is important to collect and organize your data for this literacy needs assessment. Include answers to these questions. Is this data outside of the needs assessment, or is this a general statement about data related to the needs assessment? What action would a respondent take to meet this instruction? Ensure that you have the data you need by comparing your data sources to the guiding questions and overarching topic framework. Have multiple sources of data so that they can be triangulated. Include data that describe the climate and culture of the LEA and the school community. Some questions to consider would be: what data sources are aligned with the key topics and are readily available from existing data sources? And what additional data are needed to fully explore the key topics? And what are the best ways to collect these data, whether by survey, observation, focus group, etc. When you are taking the needs assessment, you will need to interpret your information. Discussing the data and its interpretations as a team will help you determine as a group where your school falls on the rubric. Sometimes there will be differing viewpoints. It is important to discuss these different perspectives and arrive at a consensus together. Within your teams, examine the relevant data to create meaningful information to answer the questions under each key topic. Try to triangulate data points from different sources, voices, or forms of data. This produces more reliable outcomes and helps determine stronger themes within the data. Some questions to consider might be: what do the individual data sources say about the key topics and the questions within each key topic? What themes emerge when multiple sources are cross-referenced or triangulated across a given topic? Are there places where voices disagree or present a different perspective? How can the underlying causes of these differences be explored? In the course of the needs assessment, it is likely that multiple needs or issues will emerge. However, it is important to narrow this list of needs to a key set of priorities for action. These priorities can be reflected in your local literacy needs assessment, one of the foundational pieces for the CLSD grant. Some questions to consider might be: what findings or themes have emerged that, if addressed, will have the greatest potential for impact on student outcomes? Are there additional data that should be considered in order to make informed decisions about priorities and capacity for implementation? After the needs assessment, you can use that data to determine your priorities as an LEA. Note that the priorities you determine will not be reflected in the needs assessment survey. LEAs may choose, once these issues and needs emerge, to continue to discuss how to address them after the completion of the survey. In other words, this survey is intended to inform work both locally and at the state level. It can help you develop your local literacy plan, and it will help the CDE develop and revise the state literacy plan. The needs that the data shows us at the CDE will help us determine our priorities statewide. The final phase of the needs assessment takes the results and turns those results into something actionable. Priorities established through the process of identifying needs and interpreting their causes drive the selection of appropriate strategies or interventions, how they will be implemented, and how improvement will be evaluated and measured along the way, all of which can be reflected in a local literacy plan. Some questions to consider are: what additional information is needed about the needs assessment results or their potential underlying causes to create meaningful long-term change? How will school or district teams connect needs assessment results to the selection of evidence-based practices for implementation? What processes will be created to ensure regular opportunities for utilizing data to reflect on the progress of improvement efforts? Again, the needs assessment will help drive positive change at both the local and the state level. The needs identified can drive change in districts and schools through their local literacy plans. And the needs identified at the state level will help the CDE provide better guidance, support, and technical assistance through both the state literacy plan and other support activities throughout the grant period. School, faculty, and staff teams should work together to discuss the questions on the survey and complete the survey as a group before completing it online. After the team has engaged in meaningful dialogue around each question and carefully provided answers in the PDF version, then a designated staff person should complete the survey to submit their results to CDE. If you have questions about completing the survey, please email the Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant Team at clsdp@cde.ca.gov. Finally, we'll give you a timeline of where this work is headed over the course of the next year. The Literacy Needs Assessment is the first major milestone of our first year of the grant. The rest of this year includes, after dissemination of the needs assessment, a period where LEAs will have time to complete the needs assessment and the CDE will be analyzing results. The state literacy team will be convened to provide recommendations for updates and revisions to the state literacy plan. The CDE will present the updated state literacy plan to the State Board of Education. And then the CDE will disseminate a request for applications and announce awards for sub-grantees toward the end of 2025. Years 2 through 5 will be focused on supporting the sub-grantee activities in developing local literacy plans and supporting alignment of literacy initiatives throughout the state. Thank you so much for watching and also for completing the Literacy Needs Assessment. Your efforts will help inform the work both statewide and locally. We look forward to working with you in developing and implementing local literacy plans. If you have questions, you can contact me at estandre@cde.ca.gov. And you can also join California's listserv on literacy by sending a blank email to join-california-literacy-state-development-program at mlist.cde.ca.gov.